Extreme fear is gripping the crypto markets today as we plunge down to critical support here on the Bitcoin chart. And between regulatory overhang, actions by different regulators like the SEC, potential new regulators at the OCC, at the Treasury, there is a lot of FUD out there in the world. But the truth is that the crypto markets have rarely ever had a long-term reaction to external forces. So today we're going to go deep and examine everything going on in this crazy crypto market and explain that despite a climate of extreme fear, I'm looking for opportunities ahead. If you guys are excited for this one, go ahead, destroy that like button. This one is going to be jam-packed from front to back, not only with information and insights, not only with little hints for you citizens, but also with a breakdown and a conversational segment about the entire market and our beloved NFT sector that has been all too generous of late. Hopping into the chats for just a second here, we see some oos from, where do we go? Oh, gosh, the chat's moving too fast here. We have some Kongs out in the building. We have, yes, F the FUD, agreed. We have Brian Robinson. We have Pascal Sig. We have Clueless. We have a bunch of friends out there. Thank you all for joining. Make sure you smash that like button because we want to show this broadcast to as many people as possible. Make sure we get the good information out there because there is a lot of bad information circulating. And in times like these, we really need to be spreading as much good information as possible. But despite all the negative headlines, what we do see here is a pretty strong and resilient low 40K Bitcoin. We're going to get to all this and more in just a second. So first, let's dive in here because, like I said, the leotrades.io site is coming. We're going to be having daily articles for you who prefer reading. Obviously, you can still catch the videos here on the channel, but we're going to have a ton of content coming at you. The team has been growing. The media has been getting better and better. I hope you guys have noticed the quality and content increase here. And if you do, smash that like button. It's the way that you can show some love back. So yes, we do see Deck Browser is launching. If you guys don't remember, I have this at the end, but I'll just jump ahead. Deck is a project that I covered way back in February, which was obviously February was the Bitcoin top, and that kind of led to a lot of altcoins end up crumbling down. But this is a project that I've always been a fan of. I've never sold a single Deck since I bought it because I was waiting on their product. And basic attention token is so expensive. I think it's something like 100x more valuable. I haven't done the math recently, but Deck supposedly has their mainnet coming very soon. A little alpha for you right off the bat. So let's hop into the daily roundup here. So first and foremost, people are wondering, is this the calm before the storm, or is this essentially the complacency shoulder? Are we going bear? Is it all doom and gloom? And you guys know where I'm going to sit on this, but let's go through the factors so you can understand how important this moment is. Oh, we have a super chat out here saying, you've changed my life. Oops. You've changed my life. Don't say out loud, but I think mint 25. Oh, no. It's a shill. Thank you. By the way, you got me though. You got me on the shill. So anyway, so is this the calm before the storm? It certainly feels like the markets are in a state of lethargy. We have a great writer here by the name of Oliver. And yes, he does use fancy words sometimes. There are several factors responsible for this uncertainty. We have the Evergrande crisis. Now, again, China's going to step in. China's going to right the ship here. They're going to print. And that's obviously, in my opinion, going to give the USA a little bit more of an excuse to print themselves. I've walked you through my modern monetary theory vision of how this works, which is they start the money printer and they never stop. But anyway, we also have a stalemate in the US Congress about the looming debt crisis. They want to raise the debt ceiling, but now we're having a politicization of this. I mean, come on, grab your popcorn. This is just crazy. I feel like every time the debt ceiling comes near, we have this like wild standoff, but eventually they're going to raise the debt ceiling. America's not going to default on their debt, or at least I don't think so. Be very, very interesting to see what happens here. But again, you can see the amount of just complete dysfunction in government is astounding. And what we see is on the other side, a Web3 economy growing, which is actually allowing for people all over the world to function together in a brand new way, in a much more impactful way. And so what do you think? The technologically driven way of the future or the complete train wreck way of the past? Which one would you be betting on? I know where my bets are. The anti-crypto infrastructure bill is also set to be voted on Thursday, but actually we're seeing some heavy politicization here, which we'll talk about in a minute. It doesn't seem like this one has all that much support now, and it seems like there's a line in the sand being drawn here. So we'll see if this actually gets through, but it seems like its chances, I don't know, might not be 100%. And we also have some SEC enforcement actions on stablecoins and regulation here. So a lot of uncertainty swirling. Again, I've sort of gone point by point as to what I think is going to happen here, but it's important that you understand that there's some overhang here. Again, all external overhang, not internal overhang, not issues with overextended price rallies, but issues with external FUD for the most part. And so if you guys are excited to hear me bust through some of this FUD and show you why I'm still bullish, make sure you smash those like buttons. So as you can see here, these dull periods, though, I do want to say, as a builder in the space, it is very nice to have some time to get the tech out, to focus on tech, and to not really be pushed to constantly be in, ultra bull mode, which has been a nice little respite for throughout the summer. And so I do believe that we're seeing the benefits of that. There's a saying in crypto that bear markets bear fruit and bull markets produce bull. Well, and so price is not just shooting up in the short term, but what we're seeing is ETH researchers are pushing constantly. There's another Ethereum upgrade right around the corner. We have L2s being shipped, Arbitrum's out. We have AVAX live and working. We have protocols hopping between all of the EVM chains. We have massive, massive user growth on Polygon, Matic. So these things are actually huge, huge innovations that are pushing forward. We also still have the double bubble hopium. That's certainly where I sit. That's where I believe the most likely outcome for Q4 is, which is a massive and parabolic and finishing move here to the bull run. And I do believe it'll probably be short and sweet until proven otherwise, though a Bitcoin ETF, like I said, could provide some nice stability. We haven't seen the effects of a Bitcoin ETF yet. We haven't seen how much price support that could layer into the market, and it could be pretty significant. So some of the hopium here is that the longer a consolidation period lasts, the more explosive the following price move generally turns out to be. This would also hold true if we were to experience the quote double bubble bull market, with last January and February's run up only being the warm up. Now, this of course is the fractal, is the hopium, is that we get that double bubble that we experienced in 2013. Now, history definitely doesn't repeat itself, but it sure as heck rhymes. And so I'm certainly hoping for a very lyrically competent, at least finish to this bull run. Hopefully, if not a sort of parabolic top, we just get slow, steady grinding growth. And I'll tell you why I'm so bullish in just a couple of minutes here. Of course, in order for this to happen, market structure would have to change in the coming weeks. But remember, this has happened all the time. Market structure constantly changes. And it's because the big money, in my opinion, is using these charts to paint out worst case scenarios. Remember that that head and shoulders, that inverse head and shoulders. Here, let me pop in here and show you. There was that inverse head and shoulders on Bitcoin that everyone was crying about, saying, hey, look, we're going down to essentially zero. And they kept pointing it out before we got to this sort of rebound here. We had this head and shoulders, and this was, oh, come on, let me do it. Okay, so this head and shoulders here was pointing all the way down here to like 10K or whatever. And that just shows you that, these charts are being painted by really big money to make you think the worst. And then we get this explosive move up. So, in my opinion, the charts have been the hardest thing to use as a prognosis for the future of the market. I think traders are really in a tough position right now. Regardless, we do have some good news from regulation. And just remember, not all regulation is in the same bucket here. So while some fears were super harsh around the SEC, we actually had the CFTC, which does claim jurisdiction over most of crypto. And they actually settled with Kraken a $1.25 million fine, which is actually for an exchange like Kraken, a very small fine, a negligible fine. And according to Jake, our pal Jake, who, maybe I'm friends with Jake more than he's friends with me at this point, but I imagine that we're friends. Hopefully we can get him on the channel here. He says enforcement actions are usually bad news, but this seems quite positive. Kraken made a good deal and solved an open regulatory issue. CFTC got a win. They got to notch something on their belt, assert their authority here. Regulators, they want to regulate. And essentially, we got a good statement calling for clarity. That's a really, really interesting and fantastic result compared to other types of regulatory situations where you end up with some kind of overhang, some kind of looming doubt that we're establishing some precedent to go and create more negative news. as opposed to something that creates clarity and something that is a collaborative effort with more of a slap on the wrist so that everyone feels like they got to have their voices heard. This is a great, great step forward. If you guys are excited for a regulator with a decent outlook on this industry, make sure you smash those like buttons, because this is a really, really interesting moment we're in where we can see cooler heads very well might prevail. So let's just keep watching this space. You can definitely not predict the future when it comes to regulation in crypto. Now, also, huge news here is that Polygon and layer 2s are just ripping. And that has to do with a very historic achievement here. We see, here, let me get this out. We see the daily active users here on Matic have actually flippened Ethereum mainnet. Now, of course, if you know the fee structures on Ethereum mainnet, this shouldn't be a surprise to you, but that's like Pepsi flipping Coca-Cola right now. People are very, very settled in their ways when it comes to using their networks. And so seeing Matic flip the DAU of ETH, again, it might mean that Matic is dramatically undervalued here. Anyway, Polygon usurping Ethereum in the number of active addresses. More importantly, Polygon's growth trajectory is looking far brighter than Ethereum's, which seems to be stagnating. Again, it's hard to get new users in, especially new users that are casual users that are just checking things out. They're not going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're not going to have thousands of dollars in ETH to burn on transactions. It's not mainstream adoptable. So ETH L2 is the best chance at mainstream ETH right now. It's a big deal. You also have Arbitrum and Optimism, two ETH native L2s growing rapidly. They absorb a lot of user growth, which, to be fair, has to be counted towards the Ethereum ecosystem. The recent growth of L1s and L2s has led to many new exciting yield farming opportunities, but has also created new challenges. Especially the bridges have been a big challenge. And now what we see is Seller Networks Bridge, the C Bridge, as well as Hop Protocol are allowing for you to easily get between all these. And this is a pro tip. This is from my writer, Oliver. He's saying, hey, use your brain here. What have we seen? A ton of retroactive airdrops for useful protocols. Maybe use Hop Protocol just once or twice, just for kicks and giggles. Who knows? They might airdrop you a very, very nice gift in the future, just like they did for DYDX, with people making $50,000 plus. Any decent new protocol without a token should be high up on your list of to-dos, because it costs you very little just to experiment and connect your wallet, make one or two transactions, and the results could be astronomical. I mean, for me, $50,000 is a tremendous amount of life-changing money. Up until this recent bull run, that would have been more money than I'd been able to stash in a long time, right? So anyway, this is a huge pro tip here. Highly recommend you use some of these protocols just to experiment. And then, of course, things will get easier with time. We all know that this is the story of evolving tech, is that things only get better. And so when you look at the progress curve, it goes in one direction. When you look at the prices, they go all around. And again, it's hard to bet against the future. I never do it. I wouldn't do it if I was you. Then again, I can't manage your finances, and this isn't financial advice. Again, we have Loot Project making their own exchange, and we also have Treeverse, which wants to be the RuneScape, having their alpha release, as well as Avagachi coming. Where is this? They have a bridge now. Very interesting coming. So this is a very interesting few pieces of news, but we actually have some bigger pieces of news coming in here, which is that we actually have we have opposition here to this regulator coming in. And it feels like, to me, up until this point, crypto was pretty apolitical. It felt like there was just the government and the users. Now it feels as though the sort of left-leaning politics in America seem to have gone anti-crypto, anti-tech, anti-progress. And it seems that the right-leaning sort of politics in America, and I don't like to talk politics on this show because I really don't find it relevant, but in this particular case, it does feel quite relevant. And it feels like the left-leaning administration doesn't like crypto. And when you take a step backwards and you think about it, well, I guess the sort of liberal politics tend to be more centralized. The sort of right-wing politics tend to be more decentralized, at least in ethos. So I guess it's more obvious now in retrospect that it would have gone this way. Still sad. At least there's some party supporting crypto and progress. We will see. It's kind of quite a flip to see tech being supported and pushed more by the right. We will see what happens here. Again, I'm just here reporting the news, and we all know what side I'm on. I'm on Team Crypto all day. We also have XRP traders worried that things might drop down to 70 cents. Sorry, XRP Army. I think a drop, like I said, is potentially in the cards. And I'm going to show you exactly what I think is going to happen in just a second here, because the prophecy hath been laid. The prophecy hath been laid here. So we've seen now the overhang. We've seen some of the downward forces. We've seen some of the bearish forces here in the market. Now it's time to talk about some of the bullish forces in the market and why, despite this period of regulatory overhang, despite the meandering prices, why I still get so excited about crypto here in the tail end of 2021. What do we have here? Nayib Bukele showing a volcanic Bitcoin mining facility. That's right, using volcanic energy to mine Bitcoin. This is, to me, a harmonious interaction between the future of technology and the forces within our natural world. It's a beautiful thing. This is awesome. And so just understand the downsides, potentially environmentally, about Bitcoin can be resolved using things like volcanic energy. Very, very interesting story here. And then we also have a story by this guy, Elon Musk. You guys might know him. And he says, look, it's impossible to destroy crypto. It's impossible to destroy. The best thing that governments can do is to potentially slow down its advancement. So you're not going to destroy it, but you could slow it down. And at this point, I'd like to think that Musk is pretty well versed, even if he wasn't super well versed at the beginning of the year when he first got in. I think he knows more now. He's definitely had plenty of people talking to him about it for at least several months publicly, very influential people. So he says, I suppose cryptocurrency is fundamentally aimed at reducing the power of a centralized government. They don't like that. Makes sense, right? So centralized governments don't like crypto. We're seeing that in China. We're seeing that now with left-leaning politics in America. But what's really sad is that empowering your citizens, empowering those in the weakest financial positions is most easily achieved with crypto. We know that. It's not a question. For people who want to sort of jump in and out and quickly trade in and out of coins, they're not going to make it. But for people who understand about buying high-quality assets and just holding, well, they have a chance to radically transform their futures. And I know because so many people message me every day, every week about the transformational experience that crypto has been for them financially, how much freedom it allows them. It's an amazing, amazing space if done correctly. Obviously, there's a lot of risk. Part of it might actually be due. And so he also talks here very interestingly about China, saying that the Bitcoin mining in specific and the ban on Bitcoin mining might be due to electricity shortages. However, I'm not sure if I buy that because, of course, they just cracked down on sort of mainstream crypto over the last few days and weeks. So I'm not sure if I buy this. Let me know in the comment section below if you think this is a factor. It's an interesting take. And you know we love an interesting take here on the Elio Trades Crypto channel. But now it's time for the prophecy which had been laid August 2nd, 2021. Mark the date here. Mr. Crownius Cryptous, he came forth before you and he outlaid his position here that we would pump up to the mid 40s and we would come back down to the mid to low 30s and then we would push up again. Now, I've talked to him privately. This is in the cards. Obviously, nothing's a guarantee, but this is a scenario in the cards and certainly the one I told you I was looking forward to. I was surprised that we kept pumping up here above 45, above this resistance, and then even broke past 50. But it was a bit of a fake out here and the accumulation was still on, right? The accumulation and the mind games were still on. And here's what I think happens here. I think we go down here to the 30s. And I believe genuinely that most people here, I believe they start to give up. I believe most people say, I can't do this. They see Bitcoin go down. They see their favorite alts drop 50, 80% again. And it's the dagger. It's the dagger that they can't get past. And this is where a lot of people give up. That's my prediction. So a lot of people are going to give up here in the low 30s. Do I know if it goes lower or higher? I believe it goes higher. Anything could happen, right? This is crypto. I've seen crazier than a price drop. But I do believe that if people start really resigning themselves and saying, you know what, I can't handle this anymore, it's over, that would be the cue for the second leg of the bull run to take off, for everyone to just be completely and utterly disgusted with the market. And when everyone's disgusted, that's when the only time where true gains can happen. Looking back at March 2020, when things were so bad looking, the only way was up. And this is, to me, a scenario where people would look at this and say, this is so bad looking that it's got to go up. It's got to go up. And on that note, before we jump into some NFT news, I'm actually going to be bringing out a member of my team. Give him a warm round of applause here, a warm welcome here on the Elio Trades Crypto channel. This is Dayton, who's a very, very talented writer and researcher on my team. And he's going to be bringing a little conversational tone to the second half of this episode. So smash the likes for Dayton.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, Dayton? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be on the stream. Uh,
What do you think of the prophecy? What do you think of Crown's prophecy?
the way that I feel about Crown's prophecy is that I feel like he's very accurate. I feel like if we do go down, that would be the perfect opportunity for other people that have been waiting on the price to go down to jump in, right? Not financial advice, but at the same time, this is basically where the life-changing money that we like to call it is made, through the diamond handed process and basically accumulating when things are not looking so well.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can buy a big green number. It's hard to buy the big red numbers. That's when
Right.
that's the hard stuff. And everyone says, "Oh gosh, that dip, I would have bought it." No, you wouldn't have. You wouldn't have bought that dip. You would definitely not have bought that dip because it's hard. It's hard to click buy when things are looking dark and dreary. Again, we'll see how this plays out. Well, again, you guys have seen the prophecy. It's been laid out. Sir Crownius.
And Sir Crownius and king of the charts.
King of the charts. We'll see. We'll see how his intuition plays out. But I wanted to bring this up here. I mean, Twitter. So I talked about this a few months ago, and I said mainstream social media networks are going to integrate NFTs. Right. And that it's going to cause a massive bull run because what's the utility? Everyone says, well, I screenshotted your NFT. Why the heck would I pay for it? Well, now this is like the blue check mark of NFT land, right?
Exactly.
And really interestingly here, you hear a Twitter dev and let's see, I'll post this in the chat right now. But you see this Twitter dev, I'll actually post it in the description after the video. But you see this Twitter dev showing here, they're connecting their MetaMask. You see they're connecting their Coinbase wallet, I guess. And then they're picking their NFT in their wallet here. Obviously, this isn't live. This is a very valuable NFT, this CryptoPunk. But this now is showing up as a verified NFT in their wallet with the Ethereum little mark there. I mean, this to me has got to be one of the most bullish things I've seen in crypto in a very long time.
Right. And it was only a matter of time before this happened, right? NFTs have been basically on fire since pretty much the start of the year. And so, with the growth and basically with the adoption, I'm not surprised to see Twitter integrating this verification process. I mean, it was long overdue.
But Jack's a maxi, though, I thought.
That's true. Jack is a maxi. But the thing is, NFTs are like its own sector at this point, to where people kind of don't associate NFTs with your traditional fungible tokens, right? So I can see where the adoption is easier to adopt than to say, hey, purchase Ethereum, or I want to go into other fungible coins, because this right here, everybody can understand NFTs. It's basically the catalyst to a mainstream adoption right now. So, Twitter would be missing out and basically missing the mark by not integrating NFTs within the platform.
I agree, right? And it seems so natural and Twitter's definitely the network of crypto, right? There's no doubt that Twitter is where crypto lives.
Right.
And so there would be no more impactful network than Twitter to start with. It just seemed like kind of the stuff of fantasy. I'm always hoping for, everyone in crypto is hoping for the 10x gains. And I talk about this a lot. You always want those 10x gains, but really things tend to move more in reality in more natural sort of addition as opposed to multiplication when it comes to real value. But this feels like this could be a 10x sort of moment for the NFT community, where all of a sudden people go, wait, this person really owns that. That's quite cool, right?
Yeah. I mean, yes, and we definitely have not seen the heights that NFTs will go to, right? Like you said, this creates even more of a bullish thesis for NFTs, and basically being able to kind of pretty much put the right click save as trolls to rest. This is the first step in doing that.
Yeah, I agree. And I wanted to click back here. If you see here on Crown's chart, you see the Fibonacci sequence, right? This is the Fibonacci extension, which comes from the Fibonacci sequence. That is a product of nature, right? That is something found in nature. And and so everyone wants these inorganic. If you look at the Fibonacci sequence, like those first 13 numbers, you can see the growth of that sequence, right? And you understand that this is a very natural mathematical sequence. Now,
Right.
this is how people are actually predicting parabolic crypto charts. And so
Exactly.
you can see these natural patterns, but then you just wonder, you're always looking for a catalyst, that where is the Facebook moment? Where is that 0 to 1 moment that is actually going to break these just natural growth patterns and send it like a rock? And I wonder whether this becomes that thing that, the type of people on Twitter are world leaders and business leaders, maybe LinkedIn as well. This is a very, very, very interesting moment here. Very, very interesting moment.
It is, and I'm excited to see where it goes, right? Because the thing is, with the volatility of Bitcoin and crypto in general and fungible tokens, it's only going to be a matter of time before we obtain the liquidity and the capital that we need to kind of help stabilize things, right? So we aren't going to really be seeing too many more of these 100x pumps, these 10x pumps in the distant future. Well, I said within the next 5 years, things will have stabilized significantly. So it's important to look to new frontiers and explore different sectors within this industry.
And speaking of which, I actually saw a project come out today, and this is super nostalgic for me because I played a game called Habbo Hotel as a middle schooler, and I'm in my early 30s here, and that was very popular in the early 2000s. And you would go on and chat. You had your little characters. You had these little characters here. You could actually buy your own hotel room and buy furniture in it. And then there was like a public place, and then you could have your own private parties in your private place. And that was like such crack for us middle schoolers. And I actually had talked with my team earlier this year, the game dev team, about Habbo Hotel. I was like, look at Habbo Hotel. There's this old game. Like, this is such a perfect landscape for NFTs. And then I just heard out of nowhere that Habbo Hotel was dropping their 10K set. And I actually caught it right like only minutes before the mint ended. I was happy I was able to mint some, but then I shared it on my Twitter. I mean, projects like these are going to come in, and it feels like NFT now is really seeping in to the products. Like, unlike crypto, where we were like, oh, why doesn't Amazon use crypto? Why doesn't Airbnb use crypto, or all that? It's not going to happen, right? That's not going to happen. However, there's a ton of products like in the gaming ecosystem in particular. I see comments about Super Farm. Yes, we have the Super Farm Launchpad is integrating a very important L2 coming up soon. Big announcement on that, as well as announcements on the gaming front, pushing us super, super hard on those. But that's a different topic. What I wanted to focus on here is Habbo Hotel is a sign of the times, showing you that the NFT is jumping over, whereas crypto has not jumped over the same way as NFTs.
I completely agree, and I too was able to catch this Habbo Hotel mint, and I caught it right in time. Right, I think it sold out maybe 2-3 minutes after I caught it. But it's definitely going to be big, and I remember Habbo Hotel as well. And I'm excited to see what they have going on, because they essentially already have their own version of a metaverse as well. So let's see what happens with it. Let's see where it goes. I'm bullish on it. I think it's going to do extremely well.
Yeah, I mean, it's so early, and I try to reiterate this on NFT stuff, is that we just don't know, right? It's so early, and it's really hard to categorize any of these projects as, like, when you look at a project like Arbitrum, you look at a project like Matic, you can say, all right, they have this much technology, they have this many users, they have this much network growth and this and that. There's actually sort of fundamentals you can use to kind of rate this. Whereas when you're looking at NFTs, it's culture, right?
Yes.
It's culture that you're rating. And so it's very hard to assign fundamental metrics to it. And just like with music, just like with art, just like with films, you could have all the best directors and all the biggest budgets. It doesn't mean it's going to be a long lasting hit.
Right. And what I like about NFTs and basically the thesis around it is basically that the community pretty much determines how far a project goes. So the community is everything. Like, the community has always been everything within this space, but we really get to see it come full circle and come to the forefront when you are looking for different NFT projects to invest in. I've been a part of communities where, people have met business partners, people have gotten jobs, It's a lot of great networking that goes on, and it's all about the community. And with that being said, man, shout out to the Wall Street cons, cyber cons, man. I've been a baby con less than 24 hours, and that's probably the warmest welcome I've ever received. And it's so much great energy and information flowing. It's amazing, man. That community is amazing.
I agree. Ooh, big shout out to the Kongs. Nonstop alpha in that chat, guys. I get a lot of the alpha leaks from the Kongs. Obviously, I don't report on all of them, but hey, they have a great track record, and I've been trying to spread the love about the Kongs. Obviously, the babies were much more affordable when I first started talking to them about 1 ETH. Now they're over 7 ETH. If last time I checked, I don't see that stopping because that community is just on fire. How do you sell a Kong? You can't sell a Kong.
You can't.
You can't. I wanted to talk about one more thing as well, which is the community aspect that we have experienced, which is you mentioned Twitter Spaces, and we were talking about wanting to do some Twitter Spaces. Let us know in the comments if you want to talk about Twitter Spaces. I think something that's an interesting Twitter Spaces topic, which we can talk about for a second, is Flow blockchain. Someone said, "What are our thoughts on Flow?" They just had this article that they bagged the NFL deal.
Yeah.
And so let me bring this up. They have the NFL yet. Dapper launches NFT collection with the NFL here. I got it right now. Get this venture beat. Okay, it doesn't want to load. But anyway, so I guess what's hard for me, about Dapper is I give all credit to Roham and Dapper. However, it does feel like CryptoKitties, Top Shot. They were both fantastic projects,
right?
But they ended up going kind of to zero, right? They ended up going so far down, and that's because the economics are not set up to truly transfer ownership to the community. They're not truly giving it over to the community.
Right.
They're commercial products, and it's not the same as the Web3 approach, where you're really trying to give the memes of production over to your audience.
And you know, that's one of the issues that we've been seeing with some of these bigger NFT platforms, even with OpenSea. Like, we see where centralization plays a huge role in these platforms that are supposedly decentralized, right? But one thing, I guess one case I kind of will make for Flow, I shoot him a little bit, play devil's advocate here, is that due to what happened with Top Shots, maybe they may consider taking a different approach with the NFL. Maybe they've learned from their mistakes. Hopefully, we'll see, because we do know that they just partnered with Google as well, which can be seen as a bit of a shaky move to use their servers.
Well, I'm going to bring up this tweet here by Moon Overlord here, who said, where was it? Here, I'm deleting every tweet I've ever said about NBA Top Shot, and I'm moving on. I'm following my community and my money elsewhere to people who care. It doesn't strike me as somebody who feels very happy with the response by NBA Top Shot, right? And this is a very influential member of the community, right? The only thing he's doing wrong is he doesn't follow me. That's the only thing he's doing wrong. But Big Dog over here, Moon Overlord, then you see over here, he says, done, deleted hundreds of tweets. No free marketing. I'm not going to read that out. But anyway, the point is, here you're seeing that it doesn't feel, the community here, someone who was riding hard for them, doesn't feel supported. And so this is something where, you know, you've got it, you would imagine you'd see a reaction, but obviously on the other side, they're here talking to the NFL. So, you know, you could argue they're looking at different higher peaks, higher valleys right here, that they maybe don't care so much about the current sort of NFT Twitter, the current crypto Twitter ecosystem. Maybe they're looking at those millions and billions of users that have never heard of NFTs yet.
Well, you know, one thing we do know about corporations is they never feel it until they actually feel it, right? A lot of times they feel like they're bigger than the community that's behind them. One of the things that you definitely never want to see, your biggest supporters with a huge following kind of turn their back on you outright and not give you a chance to recover. And if that were to happen, you definitely want to see some outreach from that company. So, you know, this could be the thing that, you know, may ruin them. Who knows?
Well, look, flow is obviously going to stick around. Somebody said, is flow bad? So somebody said, so flow not good then. I don't think that's the case, right? It's just a question of priorities. And right now, maybe their priorities are big IP mainstream experiences. Then over time, they will turn more of that control over. But for right now, flow is not the most community centric. It's definitely a high achievement. So shout out to Roham and those guys for achieving something fantastic.
You're right.
With the amount of licenses, commercial excitement, and attention that they brought with Top Shot. But now it's a question of, who is really the beneficiary? Is the community the beneficiary? Because I believe strongly, as my buddy O'Shiny on Twitter, you guys should check out O'Shiny on Twitter, would say, is the most successful projects are the ones that fully turn over the ownership and the means of production to their community, that empower their community, that deliver the value back to their community. And those are the projects that will go so much further because they have armies of people as their advocates. They're not doing it all alone. They're not the only people paddling the boat. And right now it feels like Dapper is paddling the boat very, very well, very strong paddler. But again, is one strong paddler going to be able to outpace an army of paddlers?
Yeah, and you make perfect sense. And the thing is, you have to give the community what they want, right? Especially when you're in this industry where you have so many different platforms and people, creating other solutions and other markets that will, deliver what the promises are, right? So, I mean, I want to see it play out. I think ultimately this doesn't spell the end for flow, but in the future, they're going to have to start looking at supporting the community a lot more.
Agreed. Let's take some questions from the community here. Our community, shout out to the LEO Trades Nation here, the LEO Trades family. We have some really exciting, big shout out. Dayton here was a part of the community, has had amazing writing, amazing researching talents.
Thank you, sir.
Very, very happy to have him on full time now working with us and writing articles, helping bring the content to life. But let us know, guys, what are you interested in learning about? Let's answer some Q&A before we wrap up here. And I just want to reiterate that, we're going to be doing some very important community engagement exercises, not just for LEO Trades watchers, LEO Trades NFT holders. We're going to be looping things together with a bow on them and actually creating a new Discord, which is going to kind of become HQ for this community because there is just so much to be shared, so much knowledge to be gained. And we believe that this is going to be an epicenter of growth here. So everybody who's been looking for this, I know people have been asking me nonstop, that's coming soon. And so let's cue it here. Let's see if we can get something besides just a bunch of altcoin shills.
Right.
I hope you had a great break. How to invest in NFTs on a low budget. Oops. Oh, I'll answer the super question in a second, but I wanted to click on this. The chat moved here.
Yes.
How to invest in NFTs on a low budget. Obviously the mint and pray option.
Yep. The mint and pray option. And you have to try to get on that white list too. But then again, so I've been seeing in the space, I shout out to all of the creators and the artists that are doing things to kind of help quell the gas prices, right? So I've seen people do things like secret drops. Shout out to an artist named Crypto Crayon. He did like a drop where basically he reached out to all of the people that were interested in his drop individually. And he has a collection called Broken Crayons. It's nice. No shield, but I thought that the way that he rolled out his drop was very innovative, and he did it, basically to help people avoid high gas prices. You have the Mechaverse, which is pretty much
Is this it? Is this the one?
That's the one. That's the one. And his collection is basically, he's an artist that has done art for people like Erykah Badu, and he's done Nipsey Hussle art, and all of those pieces are basically derivative projects of projects that he's done. And he's worked with like Janae Aiko and Gigi Hadid. And so all of those derivative pieces are pretty much one-on-ones in a sense. Like no two pieces are alike. It's a very nice project, very good project to check out. But basically his drop phase was pretty innovative. Then you have the Mechaverse. I know that they're doing like a raffle method, right? Where on mint day you show up and you mint a ticket, and you enter for a ticket, excuse me. And maybe you get chosen for the raffle, maybe you don't, but they're doing that to not raise the gas prices. So to bring me back to my point of how to purchase on a low budget. So you want to try to catch the white list, you want to catch the mint and pray process, but then also after the project has been released, you need to also go and look to sweep the floors, because there are people that are automatically flip. Maybe they'll flip for twice the price that they paid for it, but those are pretty much the ways right now. I'm sure in the future, more innovative methods will be rolled out, but those are the ways that I've seen right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think getting into good mints is such a big deal. This is a cool project. Again, guys, I'm not saying that this one's going to go up or down. I was just using it as an example of a way to control gas prices. Beautiful art as well. I wanted to touch on this. Obviously, we talked about Decenter at the beginning as having a lot of good news. And if the market picks up here, I think that they're a great project to be paying attention to. We also have Moon River here. Someone's asking Moon River on bull run. Hard to hate Moon River on a bull run. I mean, this one is probably the juiciest Polkadot project right now. At this point, if you're looking and you believe in the Polkadot ecosystem, then having mover bags, again, no one wants to buy this on, look at this. Everyone wants to buy right here. No one wants to buy down here.
And you know, that's the craziest thing to me, right? I for the life of me, I do not understand why people don't like to buy on a dip if they like a project, right? They want to always buy on the way up. I mean, I get it. The pump is exciting, but even what's even more exciting, I love when I see red, right?
Yep.
Because then I know, hey, it's discount time. I can go and whatever I've had my eye on that has pumped 100, 200%. If it's a 50% drop, I need to have it.
Well, look here. You see a little bit of support here when this thing came down and made an explosive move on high volume. You see little bits of support here around the high 200s, but it's really not that much support until you get this sort of resistance towards support around the high 100s. So seeing mover, if we do fulfill the prophecy here, and we come down here to the low 30s, seeing mover come down to the high 100s wouldn't surprise me, right? And so that would be a cue, right, for me to jump in and fill my mover bags personally. Not financial advice, but that's kind of how I'm looking at mover. I think that that's a good way to think about it is, what am I going to do on the dip? Again, I'm assuming I always like to plan for the worst, hope for the best. If we go up and up and all of our bags keep growing, then great. But if we go down, and I do believe that this is potentially the result here, then what am I going to do and what am I looking at? Mover is definitely one. Deck is an interesting one given all their product rolling out. These are the types of things. Again, I hold both coins. I'm hoping for both coins. I'm biased, but these are the types of opportunities that are good to keep on your mind. We'll take one more comment from the audience, and then we will hop into a wrap up here.
Okay.
Somebody asked, what are my thoughts on Bear Deluxe? Again, guys, all of these new ones like Bear Deluxe, it's very, very, very high risk, right? But they're hitting this. They're hitting the trifecta here of cheap mint. Like everybody loves the pixel art that will then be voxelized, and so you can take it into the sandbox. And then everybody wants the passive yield. In this case, they're having the honey token, right? And in this case, they have the Kongs are heavily supporting them, and usually the Kongs, when they come in to support a project, are pretty diamond handed.
Shout out to the Kongs.
Shout out to the Kongs. And the same with Spirit or Pets, right? If you look at this, there's 777 items, right? Let's make sure there's only seven. I think there's only seven. Yeah, there's 777 items and 312 owners. So you have not much more than 2 items per owner. So no one person can really dump that hard and can undercut the supply too much. And I saw the passion out of the Kongs community. This is going to be like a Tamagotchi type thing. That's why I bought it. Again, it pumped so much over the course of the last 24 hours. You got to be super careful here. Could easily come back down to 1 or below. But the reality is they have a passive yield token as well. And they have this sort of pets game, as well as they're doing V1 and V2, which will have airdrops for holders. So these are the types of projects that have what appears to be long-term value being given to the holders. And that's what people look for. That's what people get excited about. Again, very different from the Dapper model, which is like, hey, we're going to sell you this premium product. And then it's probably not going to be worth much after that. But hey, you got the premium product. Whereas this, anything but premium, but they're really turning over the ownership to the community.
And you called out a very important metric just now, a very important stat with the the 777 items and 312 owners. That's what you want to see out of a project. You want to see pretty much almost even distribution, right? You don't want a project where let's say it was 777 items and maybe 150 owners. That's not good, because that means that there are a lot of wells there. There's a lot of chance for dumpage. You want to see people picking these things up, and you want to almost see it evenly across the board.
Yeah, it's close to one-to-one ownership as possible. Well, this has been awesome, guys. Smash up the likes for Dayton. Thank you so much for joining us. First live stream here with him on. Leave a comment below, show some love to Dayton, and let us know what you thought about this new format. Again, make sure you have your questions ready. We're going to start going live much more often here to include you guys in the content here. So,
yes, and be on the lookout for the Twitter Spaces as well.
That's true. We're going to have some spaces in the future so you guys can come up. We can have a dialogue here in front of everybody. It's a very, very interesting dynamic. So make sure you're following on Twitter, and we'll announce that in the future. Thanks again, Dayton.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, there you have it. A FUD-filled day where it looks like Bitcoin is on life support, and yet still there are so many reasons to be bullish. NFTs, very resilient. New mints still doing X's. You're not really seeing that in the fungible token landscape. So it's really important to understand that non-fungibles, as much as they're a totally different dynamic, if you know where to look, are still being all too generous. Then we also have yet another example of regulatory overhang, of financial economic crisis overhang that I believe ends in one way, which is to print and print some more. And in a climate of infinite printing, well, hard capped assets like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are destined to go up, in my opinion. As well, you have Twitter integrating NFTs, possibly, if not the biggest, one of the biggest crypto integrations, Web3 integrations in the history of this industry, getting integrated just days after Bitcoin Lightning. What does that say about the trajectory of NFT compared to Bitcoin, which took 12 years to get onto Twitter, and we have just days later NFTs getting on? It's a huge first layer of the metaverse coming. And you should be aware that these assets, while totally different and very hard to judge in comparison to traditional crypto projects, are things that I am beating the table about because I believe you need to be aware of. I believe gaming comes next. Looking at Habbo Hotel, it's very interesting. That's why I minted, and I tried to get you guys aware of it as soon as I could with a tweet. It wasn't really that soon, but gave at least a couple of minutes for those who were had their notification bells on. Again, there were some hints for potential aspiring future citizens. Oh, I want to touch on Superfarm. Like I said, we have a massive integration coming in the next few days, which we'll announce. And then we also have our marketplace rolling out, the Superfarm marketplace, which will be powered by the Superfarm protocol. And there's a lot of exciting things to be shared about that here in Q4, as well as the game that we have been playing and beating in with the tires. We will have big announcements on when you'll get to see the first glimpses of that game, when you'll get to play it, and when the Genesis set drops. It's all happening here in the next couple of weeks and months. And so for that reason, I have been grinding like crazy, but I've never been more excited, because the future to me has never been brighter, specifically for NFTs and protocols that power them. I believe it is the future of this industry, and is the mainstream vehicle by which we onboard billions to this industry, and by which crypto comes to truly eat the internet. For that, I thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Smash up those likes. Make sure that you follow me on Twitter. Of course, my name's Elio Trades. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.